Hi, welcome to Live and Local, a talk show focusing on the people, events, and organizations affecting the Iowa City area. I'm your host, Brian McConnell. Tonight we're joined by Carson Eggland of the Ronald McDonald House. Carson, welcome.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks a lot for joining us. And I guess first of all, if you just want to tell us a little bit about what you do at the Ronald McDonald House, and start with that.
Sure. So I've worked at the Ronald McDonald House for a number of years. I started as a volunteer in college, worked part-time during college, and I've worked full-time at the house since 2006 as our development director. So I work with a lot of our fundraising initiatives and our events. A lot of people maybe recognize the Ronald McDonald House. It's been a staple in the community for a number of years. Actually, we're celebrating our 30th anniversary next year. So
fun.
I get to work with a lot of great community partners and get to meet a lot of great people like yourself.
Neat. A little history about the Ronald McDonald House.
Sure. So the Ronald McDonald House in Iowa City was built in 1985. So maybe a lot of people watching the show maybe remember that time. I wasn't here at that time, but the house was built in 1985 and has been located just west of Carver-Hawkeye Arena, so right on Hawkins Drive. Just a few blocks away from the University of Iowa Children's Hospital. The house itself is a place where families can stay during their child's medical treatment. Families can stay for, we ask families try to pay $15 a night, but about half the families that stay with us don't pay a dime. And so it's a really great facility for families to stay during a really tough and stressful time. The families that stay at the house aren't necessarily from Iowa City, but they're from everywhere else, outside of Johnson County. We have families that have stayed from all 50 states, all 99 Iowa counties, and over 62 countries, I think, at this point.
Oh, wow.
So on average, about every year, 1,200 families stay at the Ronald McDonald House.
So what's the normal, I guess, typical territory for your Ronald McDonald House, or is there not a typical?
Yeah, really, there's not a territory necessarily as far as the families that stay with us. Really, any family that comes to the area, primarily for their child's treatment at the University of Iowa Children's Hospital, can stay at the Ronald McDonald House. The only criteria is that they need to be from at least 20 miles away, and there needs to be a parent or guardian over 18 years old staying in the room at the Ronald McDonald House, and the child can be 21 or under. So really, it's as simple as that. If you need a place to stay at the Ronald McDonald House, you give us a call, you shoot us an email or a note from our website, and we can try to get you in. And on average, we're full a lot of the time. We have about a 90% occupancy rate. And again, almost 1,200, 1,300 families stay at the Ronald McDonald House in a given year.
So you said you got involved as a volunteer in college. How did that start, or why did you choose them?
Yeah, so I went to the University of Iowa here, and I was looking for a way just to kind of give back a little bit in the community. I'd heard a little bit about the Ronald McDonald House, and so I went to an orientation session at the hospital, actually, and the Ronald McDonald House was one of the options. And I thought that'd be kind of a neat way to give back, and I found it to be a really relaxing, fun way to volunteer for 3 hours a week.
Did you initially think you'd just be able to dress up like Ronald McDonald every day?
Yeah, that's a great, maybe we can talk about McDonald's later, but we had known family friends who had stayed at Ronald McDonald House in Des Moines, actually, and so I knew a little bit about what the house did and what it meant for families, and so that was, I guess, my initial entrance into the house. And look at me now. I'm still here 12 years later.
So I guess what led you to go on full time with the Ronald McDonald House?
Well, at the time, we had not had anyone responsible for fundraising at all. It was mostly our director's responsibility. And as an organization, we're growing, and at the time we needed someone to step in and help with some of our fundraising efforts. And I was fortunate enough to be in the right place at the right time, and was offered a full-time job to work on all of our fundraising efforts at the Ronald McDonald House.
So how are you funded primarily? I understand it's a little different than some of the nonprofits in the area.
Yeah, so we're 100% privately funded. We don't receive any state or federal tax dollars for our operations. we rely on a number of different community members for their support. McDonald's is a big supporter of Ronald McDonald House, as the name might suggest. We receive on average about 20% of our budget comes from or through McDonald's. That includes those canisters you might see at the McDonald's restaurants. All of the McDonald's in the eastern Iowa and western Illinois area, those canister monies come to support our organization here in Iowa City, which is really fantastic. But not one owner-operator of a McDonald's restaurant could certainly support the Ronald McDonald House as an entity. So we rely on a number of different companies and individuals and organizations to support the Ronald McDonald House.
How did that relationship start between?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting actually. A former NFL football player, Fred Hill, he noted that there was this missing thing that families needed if they had a child at the hospital. And so he, at the time, played for the Philadelphia Eagles. And so the first Ronald McDonald House was actually built in Philadelphia and in the 70s. And so that was the start of Ronald McDonald's Charities. And still to this day, the NFL and Ronald McDonald's Charities is a pretty great and strong partnership.
Neat.
So.
I know something that you and I are both involved in, EPIC, part of the Young Professionals kind of division of the Chamber of Commerce. They have a Feed the Guest night. And talk about maybe that group and also different groups that do things like that.
Yeah, so we rely also on a bunch of volunteers that help us with a variety of things throughout the year. One activity that a lot of groups like to do is prepare a meal at the Ronald McDonald House. It's pretty simple. You call us, and if we have the date available, our goal is to have a meal provided every single day for families at the Ronald McDonald House. That doesn't always happen, but we usually get 4 or 5 dinners a week. Maybe in the fall and the spring when there are students in town, we might have a dinner every single night of the week. But basically, if your group's interested, call the Ronald McDonald House, and we'll take a look at our schedule. You'd be responsible for planning the meal, purchasing the menu items, and we just ask that you prepare the meal at the Ronald McDonald House or in a commercial kitchen somewhere off-site, and you can deliver to the house. But it's a great activity if you have a business or an organization that you're involved with. It's fun team building exercise. It's fun to get to know some of the families. Really, there's some pretty neat stories that you see at the Ronald McDonald House. Families just going through really tough stuff, and that's one way that you can help us out for sure.
If somebody wants to get in contact with you about that, just simply call the house?
Yep, 319-356-3939. Google Ronald McDonald House, Iowa City. You'll find us. Just give us a call, and we'll get something figured out.
Yeah. What other volunteer opportunities are available? What other needs do you guys have?
Yeah, so if you're looking for something a little bit more in depth, we have for volunteers, you can become an in-house volunteer, I guess, is the simplest way to put it. And that's a 3-hour per week commitment. We typically like to ask for at least a 6-month commitment. We have a lot of college students that like to do that. We also have a lot of retirees that like to do that. So it's kind of a neat mix of all ages at the Ronald McDonald House volunteering. If you're interested in doing that, it's a little bit more interaction with the families. We do ask that you do some cleaning items. It is a house, so like any house, it needs cleaned. Maybe go on some errands with some of the families, drive a Ronald McDonald's van. Every shift is a little different, but it's a great way to just get out and help.
So again, how many people will be staying in the house at any one given time?
Up to 31 families at a time. So we have 31 guest rooms at the Ronald McDonald House. Again, every family is asked to pay $15 a night, but certainly that's the thing that makes the Ronald McDonald House great is that no family's ever turned away from a room due to the inability to pay for that room. So really the thing that keeps everyone together is the fact that each family has a child that's undergoing some type of treatment at the hospital. It doesn't necessarily matter what type of treatment. If the child is born premature early, some of those families might be with us for a long time. Other times it might just be for a simple checkup, follow-up. Let's say if the family's from Sioux City and has a 5-hour drive to Iowa City, the last thing they want to do is wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to make that drive so they can stay with us the previous night.
So considering you have up to 31 families and obviously the already inherently stressful situation that they're living under, does that sometimes present, I wouldn't say problems, but obstacles or?
Yeah, it's a really stressful situation. I mean, if you think about yourself, and we have a lot of younger families that stay with us, and I think about my family. If I was in the situation, a lot of families aren't limited in income, and just to add the stress of the uncertainty of the medical condition or the illness, it can present its issues. But we have I can't tell you the number of great stories that and really friendships that I've developed over the years from working at the Ronald McDonald House. I can remember a family that stayed with us when I was a part-time night manager 10 years ago. 11 years ago, but I'm still good friends with them to this day, and go out to visit them in New York sometimes. And it's just you've developed these really great friendships along the way, and that's also what makes the Ronald McDonald House great, is because these families are next door to other families that they don't know when they maybe check in, but by the time they leave, they may be best friends. And so it's just a really neat place, and it's not like a hotel. In a hotel you might go. You might just shut yourself up in your room and really have no one to interact with. And so that's another reason why the Ronald McDonald House is what it is. It just creates these bonds and friendships, particularly for some single parents who might be with us. It's just a nice way to get them to interact with some others.
Yeah. Some of the events that you have going on throughout the year, I know that in recent years you've done a RAGBRAI team.
Yeah, we have. So, like I said, a large part of our budget comes from fundraising activities and community members and really them opening up their pocketbooks and helping us out. A couple events we do throughout the year. We do an annual 5K half marathon race, usually the first Sunday in May. I think that's May 3 next spring. And that's turned out to be a really great way for us to just spread some community awareness. And a lot of times our families that have stayed with us in the past come back to participate or walk or run. And it's just a lot of fun. We also have a golf outing that the Iowa City Thursday Noon Rotary Club helps out with. They kind of co-host that event with them. That event, since its inception, has actually raised over $500,000 for Ronald McDonald House.
Oh, wow.
And so really proud of that relationship we have with the Rotary Club here in Iowa City. And then we have a team on RAGBRAI, so if you're interested in biking across the state of Iowa for Ronald McDonald House and helping us raise a little bit of money, let us know. The route hasn't been announced yet, but it will soon, so definitely spots open on the team. And then the last event we host is a Sporting Clays charity shoot event, and that's hosted down in Riverside, Iowa in the fall. So if you are a shooting enthusiast, let us know, because a lot of times you think about these golf events, but we have an event for you. So we have a number of ways that you can get involved and help out in sort of active and fun ways.
Neat. Talk about the family room.
Yeah, so we're excited to be opening up a Ronald McDonald family room in Cedar Rapids, up at St. Luke's. And so the family room is sort of a smaller version of a Ronald McDonald House. It's located within the walls of the hospital. It has 3 sleeping rooms, and then common areas like a kitchen and computer lounge and TV lounge, and just areas where families can relax, get away. And so this will be the first Ronald McDonald family room that we've opened. And so that'll be opening up sometime late January. So be on the lookout for more news about that. But we're really excited to be up in Cedar Rapids and have the new program opening up.
Nice. When you're out and about, and again, you've been in your job since 2006, is that what you said? Are there any misconceptions or things that you hear about that you're like, that's just simply not true? Or
Yeah, definitely. So like you mentioned, Ronald McDonald House isn't at the Ronald McDonald House every day.
That's unfortunate.
Unfortunately, although the kids would love it. McDonald's is certainly not our only supporter. We're not owned or operated by McDonald's. However, they do contribute a significant portion of our budget, again, through the monies that are collected either at the cash registers, at the canisters, or from individual owner-operator support. We're also not owned by the University of Iowa. We're an independently run private 501c3 nonprofit. Those are probably the two biggest misconceptions people might have about us. And I think it's just, it makes sense because we're located on the University of Iowa property and we have the name McDonald's in our name. But those are two misconceptions that people might have.
And it's grown quite a bit. You had some recent renovations in the past several years.
Yeah, so the house expanded back in 2001. We are celebrating our 30th anniversary next year. So we're trying to do a few remodeling projects to get ready for that date, which would be later in the summer next year. But we're excited. I mean, I think it means a lot to be here for 30 years in the Iowa City community. A lot of the community members here in Iowa City are the ones that help found the Ronald McDonald House, help start it, help build it. Again, that wasn't me. I wasn't there. I just do what I can to help sustain it and to grow it. But we're really fortunate to be in this community. Iowa City is a great place to be and work and live and play. And I think it's a testament to the community that the house has been here for now almost 30 years.
A lot of the organizations we talk to, they also work with and work closely with other organizations. Maybe if your services aren't perfect for them, do you have partner organizations like that or people that refer to you?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's our partnerships with the hospital. For example, I know some Ronald McDonald House chapters offer like a tutoring service. The University of Iowa Children's Hospital has a service like that. If a sibling might be here with their family, that means they can't go to school necessarily. So the hospital has a lot of those services. We also work with some elementary schools in town that if, again, a sibling's here with their family, they're not the one in the hospital, their sibling is, they can go to elementary school or, and continue their education while they're here, while their family is here at the Ronald McDonald House. We also have this we have a grant program through Ronald McDonald's Charities, and so we help fund other programs in Eastern Iowa and Western Illinois communities. These are programs that we couldn't do or fund, but we can contribute some grant funds towards programs in the community. So that's a nice way that we can help out and partner with a lot of other nonprofits in the area as well.
So are you part of a bigger group of Ronald McDonald houses?
Yeah, so there are over 300 Ronald McDonald houses in the world. Ronald McDonald House Charities Global is located in Oak Brook, Illinois. It's sort of our umbrella organization. Okay. And so there are certain things certain rules and regulations you have to follow to be a Ronald McDonald House, but we fall under that umbrella.
What are some interesting facts? I know that's kind of an on-the-spot thing, but just interesting statistics, or you said you have lots of good stories just from...
Yeah, let's see, interesting facts. I would say, so again, on average, we're about 90% full. So we're oftentimes filled with families. And of those, we ask families try to pay $15, but it costs us about $52 to operate a guest room per night. So if you think about the gap there, 15 and 52, also coupled with the fact that over 50% of our families aren't able to pay a dime. That means that we have some fundraising to do, and that's what my job is, and that's what our job is in the community, to make sure that people are aware of those things. And and since I've been at the Ronald McDonald House, that the number of families who are not able to afford to pay for the room has really gone up. And I don't know if it's the economy or a number of factors, but that's been an interesting thing for us to think about how we deal with that, because that's what we're there for. We're there for family. We're there for a place for families, regardless of whatever their income is. You may have a millionaire next door to someone who is just on the poverty line, and that doesn't matter, because the Ronald McDonald House sort of tears down those barriers. Really, the only thing that matters is your child sick, and do you need a place to stay, and that's why we're here.
So what's a normal day look like for you?
Well, I guess it kind of depends, which is kind of a neat part of the job. I like to get out and meet some community members. I like to be a part of groups like EPIC, the young professional group here in town. I'm also on a couple of other boards around town. Really, it's just making relationships and making sure that people are aware of what we do. Sometimes it's writing grant requests, grant proposals for funds. Other times it's just meeting people and being out in the community.
Are there challenges obviously there's challenges to every job, but are there specific challenges? Is it awareness? Is it?
Yeah, I think that there's a big difference between awareness and understanding. You know, I think that a lot of people are aware of or they're aware of at least the Ronald McDonald House Charities brand, but not as many people might understand what we do. Again, there are some misconceptions out there. We're not owned by McDonald's. We're not owned by the University of Iowa. We're our own thing, and so that can be a challenge sometimes. But the nice thing is that people are aware of what Ronald McDonald House Charities is for the most part. My guess is if you looked at the top charity brands, Ronald McDonald's Charities would probably be one of the top, if not at the top. And so we're fortunate to have a partner like McDonald's to help out with that. But it's our job then to make sure people are aware of what we do.
Right.
There are some other really neat things that we do at the Ronald McDonald House that people might not be aware of. For example, we also we help fund and stock the food pantry program at the University of Iowa Children's Hospital. So there are 5 food pantries located in the pediatric units at the University of Iowa Children's Hospital. Those pantries are stocked and funded and supported by Ronald McDonald House here in Iowa City. We have our volunteers help stock it and manage it. That's been a huge success over the last year. It just started last October, and I think at last count we're at 55,000 items that have been consumed by families while they are at the University of Iowa Children's Hospital.
Wow.
And that really came out as an initiative from the University of Iowa social workers and their task force, and I think everyone's been pretty pleased by how that's worked. Next year, we're also looking to do a bereavement program. So unfortunately, not all the outcomes are positive at Ronald McDonald House. You get to know some families really well, and unfortunately, the child might pass away. And so what we're looking to do is help some of these families out with expenses after their child passes away. So we have a bereavement program that we'll be installing next year. And so there are these other things that we do at the house that are really in collaboration with providing this place to stay, really trying to help out the family unit as much as we can.
Yeah. So you've been there for 8 or so years. What keeps you there? What are kind of the successes, or what are the best parts about your job?
Yeah, I mean, I think really I've been pretty fortunate. There's a lot of my friends, I went to college with or grew up with, got a job out of college and hated it. They didn't like their job. And I was fortunate. I found a job that I really loved right away. And so I think the thing that draws me to the purpose and the job is just the mission of what we do. The Ronald McDonald House provides a very tangible service. People need food, they need clothing, they need shelter, and especially when they're in a tough, stressful situation. And so, I think for me, it's been a really great fit, and it's a fun place to work.
Yeah.
We try to have fun at the same time. We try to make sure that we're doing everything we can to help out families. So.
Absolutely. So before I get to the last thing, which is a little bit off topic, any last words that you want to just say kind of about the Ronald McDonald House, or any call to action? Or
Yeah, I would say it's around the holiday season, so people are kind of thinking about where to give their donations to, or if they're looking to instill a sense of charity in their kids or something like that. You can certainly reach out to us. We accept donations at all times. We have a wish list of items that we always need throughout the year. So those might be practical things like toilet paper, paper towels, non-perishable food items, items for our food pantries that we stock at the hospital. So feel free to glance on our website, and you can find our wish list there. So I would say that with this being a charitable season, please think about Ronald McDonald House as you consider your options.
Absolutely. So one thing I just want to talk about briefly, since it was something that you and I were both involved in, which was the Ben Newell Memorial 5K. You, myself, a group of others. Do you want to just give a quick kind of recap? Obviously, we were both there, but...
Yeah. Well, Ben was a great guy, and so the group of us decided last year to, as a way to remember Ben, let's do a little 5K trail run in the cold in November as a way to remember him. And so last year we raised over $8,000 for 3 different charities. I think this year we're on pace again to do the same. I had about 200 people there that morning, braving the cold weather and running on the trails out at Sugar Bottom. And the 3 charities that we're going to support this year: North Liberty Community Pantry, the Iowa City Animal Shelter, and then the Habitat for Humanity branch in Mason City, which is where Ben was from. And so I had a great time.
Yeah.
I know that Lord Murphy had a great time.
Yep.
The family dog of the McConnells. And so, I think the plan is to have it again next year. So be on the lookout for information around this time, around the fall 2015 for information. So.
Yeah, it was really kind of neat because Carson and I have been friends for a number of years, and this all kind of started from a fantasy football league.
Yeah.
And stemmed off of some other relationships and volunteering, and now it's turned into this thing that's kind of given quite a bit back already and made an impact, especially for his family and friends.
But. Yeah, and it's fun for me too because so much of what I do is Ronald McDonald House. It's kind of fun to be on the other end with a group that gives out money.
Yeah.
My job is to try to find money, and so it's kind of fun to give it out sometimes, and so that's been a lot of fun for me, and it's been an awesome way to remember Ben. We should have brought the shirts.
I know, we should have. They're good looking.
Yep.
Maybe I'll wear one for a future episode.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Hey, Carson, great to see you as always.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll see you again soon, but thank you for coming on and talking about the Ronald McDonald House, and really enjoyed my time, so thanks.
Appreciate it, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Again, you're watching Live and Local, and I've been your host, Brian McConnell. Be sure to tune in every Wednesday night for the latest episode of Live and Local on PATV Channel 18.